Dolby Shirley and Jerry Roth. Your referee is Carlos Padilla. This is the main event of the evening. 10 rounds of boxing in the heavyweight division. Introducing in the red corner, now fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, weighing in at 216 1/2 pounds, with a professional record of 12 wins, 2 defeats, with 5 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Gary Lightbourne. And in the blue corner, from San Diego, California, he weighed in at 203 pounds. His professional record consists of 11 wins, 1 defeat, and 6 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing heavyweight Orlin Norris.
We take a look at what I believe are the keys to victory. I think Orlin Norris needs to continue to work the body, one of his strong suits, and continue the good defense that he's shown in previous fights. For Lightbourne, got to keep the jab working. Boy, that's important. And I think he needs to tie Norris up on the inside. He cannot be fighting with Orlin inside there.
Carlos Padilla is the third man in the ring as he calls Orlin Norris and Gary Lightbourne together. Now, Lightbourne is 6'5". Norris is at the very most 5'10", and I may be giving him a half-inch there. And when I said to him this morning, another big guy, he said, everybody I fight is a big guy. So size is not that important to him. Norris in the white trunks, in the white trimmed in blue and red, is Gary Lightbourne. Scheduled for 10.
Just as Cecil Coffey in the previous fight had long layoffs, so has Gary Lightbourne, who fought only once in all of 1985, twice in 1986. So he has, and of course not at all here in 1987. So he is going to be very rusty, and that's not a good thing to be against an Orlin Norris, who's a very sharp fighter and can start quickly.
Now, the difference in the sizes will present some problems and some advantages to both men, I'm sure. It is going to be Norris has to fight inside, and getting inside against the long-armed Lightbourne might be a problem. For Lightbourne, fighting a smaller man and finding him in there is going to be a problem, even though it looks as though it's a mismatch size-wise. Trust me when I tell you that it is not.
Well, it's already obvious after just a few, really maybe 35, 40 seconds of this fight, that Orlin Norris will have no trouble getting inside the jab of Lightbourne. He's not having any problems at all with that. And getting his distance won't be a problem.
Lightbourne at 6'5", 12-2 with 5 knockouts, and Orlin Norris comes into the fight undefeated. Norris is 11-1. He's won 9 in a row. Minute 30 remaining in round number 1. He and his brother started as youngsters. He said he weighed 90 pounds, his brother 65. And their dad used to take him around in the panhandle of Texas. He had over 300 amateur fights.
You know, inadvertently, I said earlier in the show that he was undefeated at 11-0. And that's giving Orlin Alexander, who beat him in '86, a short shrift.
And I just said it again.
No, you said 11-1.
I know, but I said he was undefeated too, so we're both in error.
Yeah, I guess we think
we're in this together, Bernstein.
Yeah, you know how that goes. Anyway, we don't want to take that win away from Orlin Alexander in August of 1986.
Good right hand by Lightbourne.
Even though Lightbourne's landing there, he's fighting at the right distance for Norris and the wrong distance for himself.
Half a minute remaining here in round number 1. It'll be a tough fight for both of these men.
And the key, I think, one of the key things for Norris is that defense. He's so good at blocking and slipping punches. Will Lightbourne be able to hit him effectively? We'll see.
The size differential between the two is going to result in a lot of this. And you may think you're not watching as good a fight as you saw a few minutes ago when we had Cecil Coffey in there battling along with Terry Armstrong, but this is going to be a very good fight nonetheless. You're over in the corner with Orlin Norris. Let me add one other note. Take a good look at Orlin Norris. I don't know if you know him, but the former Heisman Trophy winner at the University of Southern California, Charlie White, and Orlin Norris are almost identical lookalikes.
That is a good point.
The facial resemblance
Very
is
much
just
so.
unbelievable.
And I saw Heisman Trophy winner Anthony Davis. He did win the Heisman, didn't he?
No,
he never did. He should have, but he never did. Last night in California, I saw him in Los Angeles. I saw him at a fight.
Yeah, he's a big fight fan.
See, that I failed my USC quiz. Darn it.
Well, he should have, but I tell you, the years that he might have had a shot at it, Archie Griffin out of Ohio State won it back-to-back. Something nobody's done.
He wasn't too shabby.
Except Archie. But we digress. Gary Lightbourne, the 6'5" heavyweight out of Florida, and Orlin Norris, who's a 5'9.5", 5'10" heavyweight out of the Panhandle, now out of San Diego. Round 2, and things heat up a bit.
You can feel Orlin. He usually takes a round to see what his opponent has to offer, and he's getting much more aggressive. Now, I did give the first round to Gary Lightbourne because Orlin didn't do that much punching, and I thought Lightbourne did a little bit more work. By a very narrow margin. Norris started to go to the body in that first round. And now he's landing upstairs to the head of Gary Lightbourne.
Banged a couple of solid right hands. The first one a bit more effective than the second, but both registered points with the judges, to be sure.
If there's a serious deficiency in Orlin Norris' style right now, and I think even they would agree, it's that sometimes when he goes to the head with that left hook, he slaps a little bit. Part of that may be he's got to reach so high sometimes to hit some of these guys that it ends up not being a perfect motion. When he goes to the body, though, he throws a real good left hook.
We're not clairvoyant enough to know what the future for Orlin Norris is as a heavyweight, so maybe the question is without any answer, but a man his size. Rocky Marciano was not a very big heavyweight. Mike Tyson is not a tall heavyweight.
That's not that big a liability. I don't think that Joe Frazier was short. I just don't think that's the question. There are other questions to be answered about Orlin Norris. The height, I don't think is going to be the major thing.
Halfway through and then some in round number 2. Action is heated up a bit. Regardless of size, Norris jabbed his way inside, didn't he? Lightbourne tied him up. Lightbourne looking at Carlos Padilla like, don't interfere with what's happening in here. Good uppercut by Lightbourne. Solid left hand. Norris, and he's got Lightbourne's attention, if nothing else.
Lightbourne holding on the inside, which was the right thing for him to do.
Lightbourne is now campaigning here in Las Vegas. Does not necessarily make him a hometown favorite. Norris has fought here, and the crowd, I think, naturally goes for the little guy, feeling he's the underdog, even though I think Norris may have come in a betting favorite here in this fight. Seconds are ticking away in round number 2. This is scheduled for 10. Again, that's Norris in the white, the shorter of the two men. Lightbourne, white, red, and blue trunks. We'll be back.
From this range, the height not a problem for Norris. He lands a couple left hooks and a right, not flush, but still, it was enough to get the attention of Gary Lightbourne.
They're still talking about that Cecil Coffey, Terry Armstrong heavyweight go. 8 rounds of, non-stop action. In fact, Mr. Bob Arum, the president of Top Rank, through his promoter Mel Greb, just sweetened the pot for each man with an extra $500, huh?
A bonus of $500, and both Cecil Coffey and Terry Armstrong deserve that a great deal.
Oh, indeed, yeah. And the crowd, you don't see it unless you're talking about a title fight. But, half that crowd was on its feet cheering those two guys at the end. The crowd really got into that fight, and the two men put on an excellent display. We're in round number 3. This is scheduled for 10. That's Orlin Norris in the white, shorter of the two men. With his back to you is Gary Lightbourne out of Florida, now making his way here in Las Vegas.
Orlin Norris is not working on the inside as much as I think they might like him to. There's Lightbourne holding to there. Now there he's working to the body. Norris fought 3 fights this year on 1 week's notice. Maybe he had too much time to prepare for this. A good point, though, is he was preparing for James Pritchard of Louisville, who was a fighter built much along the same lines as him. Pritchard fell out, I think, last week, and Lightbourne filled the breach.
The long arms of Lightbourne don't stand him in good stead inside against Norris. He just can't get any leverage or get any snap into a punch. He can't find room to throw it, can he?
No, and so he's just holding. And he's got the wrong referee in there for that, because Carlos Padilla doesn't break fighters that often. See, he slaps the gloves down. And that helps Orlin Norris because he can work on the inside.
Yep.
Norris got in about 35 seconds or 30 seconds there that a lot of referees wouldn't have let him do.
1 minute remaining here in round number 3.
Referee in that fight between Leslie Stewart and Marvin Johnson down in Trinidad. Boy, I tell you, Johnson couldn't get a chance to fight on the inside at all, though certainly Leslie Stewart was going to win that fight in any case, but matter of different styles by referees.
Well, Johnson was a fine champion. I don't mean to put him in the past tense. He was a great credit to boxing, and the Indianapolis fighter, 3 times the light heavyweight division champion, but Stewart just had too much for him last weekend in Trinidad.
And it would be probably wise for Marvin Johnson to get out of things now, but boy, he did an excellent job. Was a good ambassador for the sport. Now see, Norris able to get work in there, work some body shots and uppercuts, and Lightbourne just hanging on.
Yep. Seconds running out here in round number 3, and we'll be back to see about stanza number 4 after this.
Lightbourne's mission is to hold on the inside, and Orlin Norris's mission is to keep working. And in this case, they both tried to accomplish it, and it was Norris who did the better job. Good uppercut punctuates that 4-punch combination.
And a look at Orlin Norris.
Off to the side, okay? Stay to your corner, stay to your corner.
Well, I tell you, Norris is put together, though, is he not? Lightbourne comes out throwing that right hand. He's the taller of the 2 men, Gary Lightbourne. Going into the 4th round. After 3, how do you have it now?
I've got Norris ahead by 1 point, 29-28. Again, the last 2 rounds after giving the first to Gary Lightbourne. And I know I'm right because our stage manager, Dan Ormsby, is shaking his head in agreement. He would never let me be wrong. When he shakes his head, I know it's got to be right.
The erudite Mr. Ormsby? Oh, yes. Spare no expense. He's flown in a considerable expense to the management to handle these duties.
Absolutely.
Magnificent employee.
Look, the knockout ratio of these 2 guys will reveal to us, as we take a peek at it, that Norris is a better knockout puncher. He's not a devastating knockout puncher himself, but Lightbourne certainly not. Many of the early fights he had in Atlantic City that we covered for Lightbourne, he was not knocking people out. And he has been knocked out himself one time, Lightbourne, by Pisa Finai. Remember that name? He used to come in here on ESPN and either get knocked out or knock people out. And he knocked out Lightbourne back in September of '84 in the 1st round.
Lightbourne is having a bit better of it here, though that's a bit of a wrestling match there. Sticking out that jab and keeping Norris from getting inside. Then Norris just quickly retaliates with a double jab of his own and gets inside, but they wrestle around a bit. And 1:30 remaining here in round number 4. It's scheduled for 10.
Orlin is not getting a lot of leverage on his punches on the inside like he would want to be. Part of that is Lightbourne holding him.
Now, those punches thrown by Lightbourne did not land. They were all blocked rather successfully. Norris is a good defensive fighter.
Lightbourne's doing a pretty good job of slipping punches. There's the left hook to the body. That's what Orlin Norris is looking for.
Right at the belt line, right in there at the liver. Leads with the right hand, and he scores with that. And inside, Lightbourne's longer reach and size, aside from leaning on the shorter man, Norris, not that much of an advantage for him at all. Lightbourne, I think he staggered him and hurt him a little bit, Al.
Jab and a good right hand.
It was indeed. Lightbourne just kind of stood stock still for a brief moment. Rocked a little bit. We'll see if Norris follows up or if indeed Lightbourne was hurt.
Norris not known as a big right-hand puncher, but that one landed well.
And another right. Yeah, he's got Lightbourne in trouble. Lightbourne holding on as they spin into the ropes, and Padilla trying to pull the two men apart. And Lightbourne is feeling the effects of those shots thrown in there by Orlin Norris. Fourth round coming to a very dramatic close, and we'll be back.
The quick right hand of Orlin Norris, the jab, the straight right, it landed right on the button, and he followed with a left hook. Gary Lightbourne able to take it, but that was an excellent shot by Norris.
This is round 5. It's scheduled for 10. These are heavyweights. Orlin Norris, in case you've just joined us, 11-1, now fighting out of San Diego. He's got a 9-fight win streak on the line here. We've got Gary Lightbourne. He's the taller of the two men, from Florida originally, and now fighting here out of Las Vegas. He's got a record of 12-2, 5 knockouts. He's 6'5", in case you're wondering. Lightbourne.
There's the jab of Norris. He's got a good one, and even against the taller man, when he gets it going, it can be very effective. Gary Lightbourne is fighting tactically not a very bad fight. I mean, he's doing a lot of the things he needed to do to be in this fight. But as you see, when Orlin Norris gets revved up and gets his punching room, which he has, a tough man to handle.
And he's finding Lightbourne a little easier to hit all of a sudden now. He is, even though occasionally he's up off both feet throwing that left hand and then coming back with the right, he is finding his target. Norris, that is.
And the jab has been an ingredient in this round that was missing earlier. Just look at it. He's thrown, I'd say, maybe 50 good jabs in this round. They haven't all landed, but he's been really putting it out there.
Half a minute remaining here in round number 5. Excuse me, a minute 30 remaining in round number 5. And Norris has scored again and has Lightbourne doing a bit of a dance.
Oh, you heard him with that right hand. And oddly enough, the right, not the best weapon for Norris. Boy, he's got one. He shows us that here. Lightbourne trying to hold on. He was stunned. There's no question with him. A while left in this round for him to survive. Tell you what Norris doesn't block, he slips.
Orlin Norris saw his brother earlier on the card against Nathan Dreyer, posting a knockout victory.
19-year-old, wouldn't you like to have just a little piece of his future?
Good left jab. Oh, another solid left hook thrown by Norris. Another left and a right. And now Lightbourne again appears to be staggered and hurt. Right hand scores again for Norris.
No wildness, though. Orlin Norris controlled within himself.
Seconds ticking away in round number 5. With each passing round, almost with every passing shot, Norris gets stronger and more effective. Coming to the end of round 5. Back in the corner with Orlin Norris.
When you get your call, understand? Not letting him lay your ass out. You're punching him. He can't stop your punches from the outside, so just stay out there. Time him and nail him. Okay? Time him and nail him. This is what you're doing. We're doing it perfect.
Orlin, you know how to shorten his jabs up? Okay? I want you to catch it with this one.
Orlin Norris. Good straight right hand.
Al, he loaded that one up, didn't he?
He did. And, you know, he found early they could hit Lightbourne with the right, and there he did it again. And even though it's not the punch he normally looks for, he shows he can adjust.
You could see that one coming long before he threw it. He just loaded it up and let it go. And Gary Lightbourne, at 6'5", is having trouble with the shorter, sharper puncher, Orlin Norris. After 5 rounds, the scorecard looks like this.
This is my unofficial scorecard. I have Norris winning the last 4 rounds, so I've got him ahead by 3 points after giving a first to Lightbourne.
He's a bit modest, friends, if you're just joining the Birdstein call here. Why, he's seldom wrong. He's very, 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 very good at judging, and judging judges, I might add, as to how they're reacting to certain styles of fighters. shots landed by Norris as he finds Lightbourne a very available target. You know, Orlin Norris, if he hadn't had so many fights, you'd say, what a nice, well-schooled fighter. But he truly is, isn't he?
Yeah, that's exactly what he is. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking that right before you said it. He just has all the moves.
An economy of punches. They are straight-line type things. You seldom see a roundhouse. We're talking about a man with 12 professional fights. He's good defensively. He will pick off punches. His size or the shortness of his stature is of no hindrance to him, or apparently isn't so far.
And really about the only rough edge right now is that left hook, which sometimes gets a little wild and a little bit slapping. But beyond that, most of the other skills he's very close to mastering, if not already there. Gary Lightbourne told us today, we'll see what happens when he gets hit hard. Well, I don't know that he's been hit hard enough by Gary Lightbourne. And Lightbourne had seen him fight Rufus Hadley, said he wasn't that impressed, but right now he's got to be impressed with what he sees in front of him by Orlin Norris.
I would think so. I would think so.
Interestingly, we talked about Tyson. Lightbourne's been sparring with Mike Tyson, so he has been in with a ruffian in the sparring sessions.
And a guy not unlike Norris in stature and in style.
And when you spar with Mike Tyson, I tell you, you better be ready because he spars all out.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think Tyson goes through any sparring sessions. I don't believe Norris does either. Norris almost jumping off his feet to nail Lightbourne. Turn him sideways, then hit him with the right hand.
And there was even a method to his madness there. Staying on the ropes, Orlin Norris, he wanted a chance to counterpunch. Lightbourne did not accommodate him, but he knew what he was doing there. He wanted to see if he could counterpunch as Lightbourne came in.
Half a minute remaining and counting down. We're in round number 6. It's scheduled for 10. Another outstanding night of boxing here at the boat. Mel Greb, promoter, certainly knows how to put fighters together. We'll be back to see about round 7. It's coming up, but first we're going to pause for these words. That's a look at the ring and the crowd. We've got a nice crowd on hand here at the boat in Las Vegas, Showboat Hotel and Sports Pavilion. That's Norris on the right.
And here he was looking for Gary Lightbourne to come in. Wanted him to come in so he could counterpunch. He said, no, he decides, I'm going to get out of here. And a small, subtle nuance, but just something to show you that Orlin Norris is always thinking in there as a fighter.
They come together, middle of the ring, round number 7. It's scheduled for 10. Neither man has been down, though on a couple of occasions it appeared, at least to us here at ringside, that Lightbourne had been stopped and had indeed been stunned a little bit.
And I would not have expected this to be going into the 7th, the way Norris started nailing Lightbourne in about the 4th round. Yeah. Nevertheless, I've got Norris winning all of the last 5 rounds.
Two men, close quarters, not throwing many punches. Norris covering up as Lightbourne kind of jumped out of that clinch and has him against the ropes. Norris lands with a solid left jab. Lightbourne's face showing the effects of taking a lot of punches here tonight. It's not, there's no cuts or no blood showing, but you can see the puffiness under the eyes.
Lightbourne holding on the inside, a tactic that he's almost forced to use.
Good solid shots as Norris just stepped away from that clinch and found Lightbourne still looking to hold on to him, but he wasn't there. Minute and a half remaining in round 7.
Norris looking for room now to punch.
Padilla, third man in the ring. Lightbourne is 6'5". Norris barely 5'10".
I think we can count on one hand the number of solid punches Lightbourne has landed. There you saw him miss a couple of shots, a couple were blocked. And again, the defense of Norris, a very, very important factor in every fight he's in. Very little lands solidly to his head.
No.
Best way to describe Norris in this year is he's at a productive 87. He's won 5 fights. He's in his 6th, and they've all been against decent heavyweights. The best maybe Avery Rawls, and the rest like Hurricane Hadley, Eddie Richardson, and Lightbourne, journeymen, but journeymen that each bring certain kinds of skills into the ring. And it's been a learning year and a productive year for Orlin Norris.
And Norris and his people, who seem on a program that it's hard to fault when you look at him and the superb condition he's in and the skill with which he conducts himself in the ring, they feel that he's going to be fighting for the title. They've got a little 2-year program worked out for him. We're coming to the close of round 7. We'll be back with more after this. We're in the corner with Lightbourne.
Gary, you know what's going to happen to you?
And indeed, he's boxed into a corner in this fight, Gary Lightbourne is. This is part of the reason Orlin Norris pushing ahead. They're using the jab to land that straight right hand. Saw it was a good weapon, so he's trying to land the right again. But the difference in this fight than other fights with Norris, I think, Tom, has been the right hand has been his big weapon. And it's been available, so he's used it.
After 7 rounds, Al Bernstein's scorecard
keeps mounting.
That's right. Norris has increased his advantage on Al's card, now up by 5 points. Remember the scoring, you have to give the winner the round 10. Whoever you think it is, he gets an automatic 10, and the loser a lesser number. Although, in point of fact, it takes a knockdown to get a 10-8 in my book.
Yeah, mine too. It does out here in Nevada as well. However, in New Jersey, there's been an effort to make more decisive scoring, so you can easily get a 10-8 round with no knockdowns, and with a knockdown, it could go as low as 10-7.
Yes. Now, Lightbourne has got a nice jab and a follow-up right hand, but you must realize that Norris has caught most of those on his gloves, picked them off, and those that he hasn't caught has slipped or has reduced their effectiveness by just not getting him flush. His defensive skills are considerable.
If you are kind of a one-dimensional fighter, which Gary Lightbourne is, the jab and the straight right hand are really his basic weapons, you're not going to do too well against Orlin Norris because he can pick that kind of stuff off. You have to have a varied attack to be able to get through his defense.
See if Norris will prove our point. Watch that jab, and Norris has caught him all, pushed him aside. Just watch him. We won't say a word. You just watch him. Well, he threw about 5 punches in there, Lightbourne, and none of them landed.
That's right. I mean, we've talked about it before during Norris's fights, and as you said, when you just sit and you watch it, it's interesting. I'm not saying that no heavyweight can hit him or that no heavyweight will, but in the fights we've seen, very few solid punches have been landed. Though offensively, Orlin is kind of taking this round off a little bit.
There's a right hand to poke Lightbourne up. We've got a minute. There's a nice left. He jumps off. Almost the minute you said it. Solid right hand in the left. And Lightbourne tries to fight his way back, but those right hands are... Norris boxing beautifully, and he's got Lightbourne's face pretty well puffed up. Bangs him into the ropes.
And you can see Norris is not reckless. He had Lightbourne hurt, but Lightbourne was coming back, and Orlin said, I'm going to get out here. I'm not going to get hit. I'm going to do some defense. I'll get back on the offense.
Nailed him with a left and a right. We've got a half minute remaining. Norris slips away from the rush of Lightbourne, frustrating the big man to be sure. Then he has to be busy guarding against the flurry of punches that come from everywhere. Lightbourne's face showing the effects of almost 8 solid rounds of being punched about by Orlin Norris. We'll see about round 9 after we see about this.
As you look at these keys to victory from the beginning of the fight, in one sense, the body has not been an important part of Norris's attack, but the defense has been. And for Lightbourne, his jab has never been a factor, but he has tied Norris up on the inside fairly well. But without that first one and some offense, the second one is meaningless for Lightbourne.
As you see the fight continue into round 9, you can see the effect of Norris's ability on the face of Lightbourne. His right eye is almost slapped shut on him. It is swelled up and very puffy end of the eye, and it is almost closed. We start round number 9. And in addition to everything else that has happened to Lightbourne tonight, why some of the spring has gone out of his step, and certainly some of the snap out of his punch. It's been a very frustrating, tough night for Gary Lightbourne, and Orlin Norris has just been on top of his game. One doesn't know what this in the 10th round will bring, but I tell you, Norris has fought a very good fight. You know, when you see a guy as small as he is and the guy as big as Lightbourne, the natural tendency, Al Bernstein, is to think, boy, this big guy's really going to knock the little guy clean into next week.
Yeah.
It just doesn't always happen.
No, it doesn't. And with what we knew about the two fighters, we didn't really expect that.
No.
But you're right. The inclination is to think that. You know, as I sit here and watch this fight, I can't help but be an amateur matchmaker. Wouldn't it be some fight to see Cecil Coffey from our earlier bout take on Orlin Norris with the style matchups that they have? What an amazing bout that might be.
Wouldn't it? And given Coffey's magnificent chin and his punching ability and how he loves to fight inside, there'd be no height disparity between the two men. Yeah, that would be...
That'd be excellent.
Well, who knows?
And I'll tell you, it would be even better if Cecil Coffey got another tune-up bout along the way before, although tonight was hardly a tune-up bout for him, but another bout before he would face Orlin Norris.
Lightbourne showing the effects of this one. His right eye is nearly closed, and I don't think he saw much of that left hand till it got there.
That was the best left hook that I have Norris has thrown. There's another one. Yeah. Now he's setting down in this punch. For the first time, the left hook that I had is coming with authority from Norris.
He is banging away with great success, and Lightbourne is, with that right eye, slowly but surely closing on him, is really having trouble spotting that punch before it gets there.
And now Orlin Norris can afford to be a little reckless. He understands what he's taken out of Gary Lightbourne. He wouldn't do that earlier, though. He wouldn't take the chance. And he said it in that little piece we did on him. He said, I'm a thinking fighter, and he is. People are misled to think that the only guys that are thinking fighters are the guys that dance and jab and move away and show you dazzling footwork and hand speed. That is not true. Fighters of shorter stature, guys that have to come in, can be just as clever.
Well, without belaboring the point, but a man no taller than Norris, who's going to campaign as a heavyweight, really has got to develop a lot of additional skills and ability to stand in there with some of the bigger men who can punch well and box well. He indeed has to be better than the average small heavyweight if he's going to campaign as a good one. And of course, there's a good, nice combination that Lightbourne landed, one of the few that he's landed all night. Shot to the body and a left hook to the jaw. But those have been few and far between for the big guy from Florida, now campaigning here in Las Vegas. Take a look at him there.
5 right hands at him.
See his right eye?
I told you when you throw a right hand, throw down. You're throwing right over his head. Look at that sponge.
Oh, man. My first round.
Very good, Mike. Very good. What? Last round.
First round, 10 rounds.
Yeah, but you're not throwing now. You haven't thrown none since the first round. You're just sticking. You're pawing at him. You're just pawing at him. Which that's all you're doing is pawing at him.
My strength.
Mouthpiece.
He used to punch it sharper than mine.
What did you tell me
He's right
today?
about that. His punches are sharper than his. Gary Lightbourne with that the right eye closing, and that's why the left hook of Norris that you saw there is starting to get in. Johnny Taco giving Lightbourne a pep talk, but there's a reason why he's missing those right hands. It's partially because he's not throwing it down. It's partially because the man we just saw, Orlin Norris, is good at slipping it.
That's right. So they come together to touch gloves. This will be the 10th and final round of this heavyweight bout. Every bit as exciting and every bit as interesting as the one that preceded it. Now Lightbourne up, dancing, moving, jabbing.
Well, I've got Orlin Norris winning this fight very big, 89-82, and our producer, Kim Whitelaw, asked me a rhetorical question. What does Lightbourne need in this fight? He needs a gun, a whip, and a chair. That's what he needs right now. And even then, I wouldn't admit he would win this fight.
Or a Sunday punch from out of the blue. Solid right hand by Norris as he stops the dancing of Lightbourne for a brief moment. Steve Stedman, our director, is waiting till the final official announcement before he selects a winner. Stedman is a cautious man.
That's right.
He wears a belt and suspenders. And those guys are hard to fool, and Steve is not about to get carried away by who's going to win this fight. until the official says so. I got to go along with Steve. Lightbourne was quite frank between rounds. You heard him. His punches are sharper than mine, and he was referring, of course, to Orlin Norris. Looking back with 1:30 to go in the 10th round, had he been able to use his jab and keep Norris at long range and then use the right hand effectively, but Norris, you said it from the very beginning, he'll have no trouble getting inside to fight Lightbourne, and he certainly did he? No. Getting into wherever he wanted to fight.
He really had the distance very early. The kind of fighter, that was a good right hand by Lightbourne, who could give Orlin Norris some trouble perhaps, would have to be a very good boxer, a Larry Holmes type, if you will. There aren't many that come along with Larry Holmes, but a guy who can box, can sting you with the punch, and has a great jab, and really can nail you as he moves and keep you at bay. Or the other possibility is a real heavy puncher.
There's a little up off the toes and swinging left hook that he threw in there. Lightbourne backing away. We're in round 10. Neither man has been down. Lightbourne has been stunned a couple of times. The big guy's up moving and jabbing, but it's too little too late here, unless something untoward would happen in the closing 20 seconds. You brought up an interesting point, and I must develop it with you some evening, about he got his distance early and how you get... A lot of guys are just a foot apart from having a great fight more often than not, Al, and to get to that proper range where you can hit that guy without him hitting you is really quite an accomplishment. Let's talk about it sometime.
Yeah, we'll do a special ringside report on it.
There's the bell. Lightbourne gave him a pat on the back, almost a congratulatory one. I think he has a great deal of respect for young Orlin Norris, and Norris really fought a fine fight. We must also talk a little bit about his punching power and whether he's got a knockout punch. He doesn't have one per se, but maybe that'll come as his conditioning and his training go along.
And as you look at Orlin, you have to say that while this wasn't as aesthetically pleasing a performance as some might like, I think that he did everything he needed to do to win. Came close a couple times to hurting Lightbourne enough to put him down, and it was another very workmanlike performance by Norris.
Lightbourne goes over to congratulate Norris. Lightbourne certainly showing the effects of having been in with a whirlwind, kind of tough hitter. Chuck Norris has the official card. Let's go to the ring announcer. Excuse me,
Ladies and
Chuck
gentlemen,
Hall.
here is the decision of the judges. Judge Dalby Shirley scores 99-91. Judge Jerry Roth scores 99-91. And Judge Chuck Chiampa scores 190 for the winner by unanimous decision, Orlin Norris.
99-91, 99-91, 100-90, a unanimous win for the young man from San Diego. We'll be back. Well, he did it again. Very impressive performance by Orlin Norris, and Al Bernstein's in the ring with this talented young heavyweight.
It was impressive, and Orlin, you got your distance very early in this fight, and you were able to stun him with some good shots, but you didn't take any unnecessary chances.
Well, the reason I didn't take any unnecessary chances, I wanted to make sure that I still had punching power at 203, where I was when, much more, so I was satisfied, with where everything went.
But you were able to get inside his jab early. You worked the body, you worked the head. Do you feel every fight out you do something a little bit better?
Yes, criticism makes me better, so I listen to, my managers and, what other people say, Al, and if I feel like, hey, it'll benefit me and, let's give it a shot.
Good performance. Quickly, Wes Lombo, what is next for Orlin?
California State Championship in the 14th, June 17th.
Who will he fight?
D. Collier.
D. Collier, all right, tough man. This should be a good match. Right. Congratulations, Orlin. Okay, Orlin Norris, a winner again. What else is new? He seems to always...
I'm out for Dennis.